The first of the three questions was, why are we planning to hold this this Zoom conference on the anniversary, the 80th anniversary of the first use of and so far the only use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. The reason for highlighting the 80th anniversary is threefold. First, the dropping of the atomic bombs represented a kind of climax of destructive horror, climax of the Second World War, which included the Holocaust and the carpet bombing of civilians in cities, and this turning point that was reached was of a war that could destroy us all, a war that potentially could wipe out humanity, a war that would escalate to unprecedented and irretrievable levels. I visited yesterday the Imperial War Museum in London, and the horrors and the full dimensions of the world wars of the 20th century, particularly the Second World War, are all too evident. But the presentation ends on a more hopeful note. It ends on a note of the establishment of the United Nations, the possibilities of regulations of weapons escalation, but and also of a code that would offer some degree of protection against racial populism, the kind of fascism that animated the politics of the 1930s. The second reason to focus after those horrors is simply, and we don't want to present it, but there are or there seem to be parallels between the 1930s and now. What becomes very clear is that people began developing huge weapons, arsenals of weapons in the 1930s, of building up their navies and their air forces and their ground forces and producing military equipment. And driven by escalating and exclusionary ideologies, imperial ideologies, culminated in the horrors of the Second World War. Pushing the parallels a little bit, we are living in a period where my own country, New Zealand, is doubling its has announced a doubling of the budget for our defense forces. The debate in NATO last week is about an increase from 2 to 5% of participating countries. Japan is increasing its military budget. And part of that escalation is an increased emphasis on weapons of mass destruction, on nuclear warheads, nuclear bombs. And the potential horrors of 80 years ago should be clearly in our minds as we contemplate these escalations and the dangers of error, the dangers of political miscalls and military action. The third reason is that we might be able to do something about it. I mean, one of the horrors of reflection is that none of this was necessary. And there were numerous opportunities when people could have walked backwards from escalation. And so the message for us is a very simple one, is that we can do something. And here the focus is on religious communities which have traditions of peace, have processes for peaceful coexistence and histories and experience to offer alternatives. And the tragedy is of alternatives not taken. And it's hard not to see us as at a kind of crucial junction where if we don't respond, and if we don't use the religious wisdom and moral wisdom to forge alternatives, we won't have, we could find ourselves in a kind of heated war and unthinkable possibilities. I hope that we can suggest that there may be alternatives. We certainly should think and respond incredibly seriously to these escalations, and that we all have a responsibility in relation to our leaders, our political leaders, to exert pressure and to present peaceful possibilities and peaceful alternatives. My hope is that ACRP members will join us in our reflections, our expert informers who will allow us to debate and consider these issues with real knowledge and a degree of understanding. And that what will come out of it, I mean, is a statement for de-escalation, for disarmament, and for a process that will allow us to move forward towards peace, not dreadful, unthinkable wars.